As expected, not much to worry about when it comes to spring flooding this year. Here's Greg Gust with the National Weather Service in Grand Forks with the 2021 Red River Valley Spring Flood Outlook.
So the dots have not changed on this map now for several weeks. There still is just that minor flood threat down in the Fargo-Moorhead area, mainly just on the main stem red and where the north and south branches of the Buffalo River and Minnesota Buffalo River are coming in. And I mentioned, well, we have that chance for drought. We could also get widespread gentle rain, and certainly a blizzard is still possible. As we saw from just yesterday, we can still get a snow storm into the area. And we'll talk about that possibility now as we get into that last leg of the three-legged stool analogy, and that is what is our spring thaw cycle and our potential for heavy spring rain here. So this is the next couple of days. And this shows basically high pressure now moving across these northern plains over the next couple of days. Cooler air right now over us, but we will see warming as we get into the weekend and getting back into a freeze-thaw pattern into the weekend and early part of next week. So generally mild, warmer than normal as we get into the weekend and early part of next week over the northern plains. So again, snow melt and thawing weather, but relatively gentle, not a huge or as big of a warm up as we saw this last weekend. And then you'll notice that there's rather significant precipitation developing across southern and into the central plains late in this period and into the weekend and into the early part of next week. So the 7-day precipitation highlights that area into the central plains, and you're going to look at widespread likely going to be snow in areas up against the Rocky Mountains and in the northern part of that area. Could see some rain-snow mix. That, again, is all expected at this point to stay well south of the Red River Basin area. So, again, we're largely expected to stay dry with, again, thawing or slow thawing conditions of the existing or the new snowpack. The second week, the 8 to 14-day period, and I have those dates wrong again. I apologize for not getting those updated, but that's actually from the 17th and on. The 18th onto the 24th, so I'll get that updated for you. But that's mild and dry conditions over the northern plains, somewhat above normal temperatures, somewhat near to below normal precipitation. And these have not changed lately here. Those are still, for the March outlook, is expected to be overall slightly above normal temperatures, near normal precipitation through the month of March. And the same type of pattern continuing into April and May. And the drought outlook from a seasonal perspective that pushes out into through the March and April and May period says pretty much expects that we'll continue with that droughtish overall conditions throughout our Red River Basin area. There is that risk that if we don't get additional significant precipitation here over the course of March and into April, that we could again go further into the drought categories, picking up some D3, which is a more extreme drought condition. So again, pay attention to that because that, again, very little runoff, very little additional moisture going into the streams and rivers at this point. And so we're going to start losing that residual carryover from the winter season and could get into some low water conditions as we get into the late spring and early summer. So we'll be updating that as drought outlooks instead of flood outlooks here over the course of the next couple of months. So again, flooding threat, very low. Drought threat still sitting in the background. And it's always possible that we could get widespread gentle rain and yet another winter storm before this is all through. This is going to be the last graphic on this, and then I'm just going to get to one more thing here to show us. But this is just the standard flood risk category, and this is just picking on Fargo again, and you can see that the conditional simulation, that is those black triangles, black lines, are all well below the traditional historical simulation we would see. So again, the overall risk is below normal, well below normal. And this applies to pretty much all of our forecast points.